is on. We are inside the Loft 100 studios. They are always with us, the Day Trader Trio. So lucky to get to listen and watch them every single show. We do it from back here at the bar. I'm Costa, that's Marybird Godwin, and Sully.
Great to have you along today. Our good friend Doron Kempel, founder and CEO of Bond Incorporated. OBAI is their ticker symbol, OBAI, and we're talking about a new category, AI-powered preventable personal security. Doron, great to have you. Thanks for fitting us in. I know you had a crazy schedule today in terms of meetings and such. It's been great talking to you on and off the air. I want to talk about some of these conferences you're going to present to because obviously, for being a young public company, it's now nice to get some attention. And for example, you're going to the LD Micro Conference, which is an invitational conference, by the way, to have you present in front of a bunch of investors and family offices. So talk about that and talk about why that's important to you guys as a company right now.
Well, clearly, my job is not only to present to customers why this is a great service for everybody that we care about, our children, our students, residents of our cities, employees of our companies, but also to explain to the market and investors why Bond is a good company to invest in. So I'm presenting to investors, and I understand that LD Micro, there are a lot of relevant investors.
Well, LD Micro is one of the best ones in the country. I know there's several conferences out there. There's H.C. Wainwright, of course. There's Roth Capital Conference. But LD Micro, I think, is the top of the top. And to get an invitation to that as such a young company says a lot about what you're doing fundamentally. And I want to talk about that. You see a company that's fundamentally doing something like you guys are doing, yet let's talk about market cap and your stock not responding and you getting phone calls in the middle of the night from investors saying what's going on. What's interesting here is that the market cap doesn't match exactly what you guys are doing, and I think there's some misconceptions there. I think one of the misconceptions is that you guys are diluting by hitting an ELOC. I think one of the misconceptions is that some of the insiders are trading stock, none of which is true. I want to give you a chance to talk about that a little bit.
Thank you. So as we all understand, there is a difference between the value of the company and the price of the stock.
Sure.
And oftentimes with young companies, there's misalignment. For instance, I think that the Amazon stock at one point was $1.
Oh.
So we're at that particular point in time. Counter to what you said, we have not been squeezing the ELOC. We haven't used it since the 14th of April. The insiders have not been selling. So we understand that that's part of the game, and I'm confident that over time, with results, people will understand, and the price per share is going to align with the value of the company. And by the way, given my belief, I'm going to go 10B5 as soon as we're out of the dark period next week.
Two things. I'm going to let you explain 10B5 to the investors, but also ELOC is equity line of credit like anything else. But what it means is that you guys aren't diluting yourselves, is what you're saying. Because sometimes the perception of young companies is, well, they're diluting themselves and they're going to get themselves into where they're going to have to do a crappy raise, which is not happening. Talk about the filing for a minute. I'll let you do the infotainment on that.
You're talking about the 10B5?
Yes, sir.
So basically, that is a way for an executive or executives like me to get into an automatic vehicle and to set an order that says, say, every month or every quarter, in my case, it's going to be every month, buy a certain amount of shares irrespective of what's going on in the market. In other words, nobody needs to be concerned about me timing or buying when it's good or bad. I'm confident I'm going to be buying shares every month through the end of the year, and then we're going to re-examine because, as you've said, the price per share is not representative of the value of the company.
And keep in mind, look, a 10B5 is a written agreement between an insider, an officer, or a director of the company and the company itself saying, I believe so much in the company, I'm going to buy my own stock every month. And
that's what I was going to ask.
And I think that, and he's being humble because he's CEO of a public company, but that's the message it reads, is that, look, I feel so good about my company, I'm going to continue to invest in this company. Go ahead, Mike.
Doron, Sully mentioned when you first came back on with us, and we love having you, you become one of our favorite guests, that when you started explaining your product to us, not only for the nationwide and international TV and radio audience, but us here in studio, we kind of went, my God, why not? Is that the same reaction take place when you're explaining it at these conferences and to would-be investors and stuff? Is it just immediate light bulbs for these people?
Yes. So by the way, before coming on this show, I was presenting to a chief physical security officer of a large university.
Well, that's right.
So everybody comes to the meeting locked on the mental model that I'm probably going to bore them talking about some panic button or a tracker of where our kids are. And then within 5 minutes, it's clear what the problem is, which is that nobody completes a 911 call when they're facing an assailant.
Right.
And what they need is preventative security. Then I tell them how they get the preventative security and how they can choose any one of our preventive security services, including getting an agent on video. And everybody understands that very quickly. And the same thing is with investors. So there hasn't been a person that I presented to recently is in the last 4 years, that hasn't gotten as excited as you have.
I don't want to let this go because you were just talking to a university right before you got in the air with us. That's got to be, for me, both of my girls are just out of college. Your girls are going into college.
Yeah.
I mean, your son, I believe, is making his way through, if I'm not mistaken. And long story short, that is the one thing, the first time in your life as a parent, you're going without a whole week without seeing your kid. I'm not just talking about camp.
You're just trying to make me start to cry. Right
no, but I mean,
now.
the point is, though, is that this globally has got to be one of these things where you talk about universities, schools, and such. Was that part of the original plan when we first started here, Doron? When you
Absolutely.
Guys started,
the motto of the company is preventative personal security for all. So there isn't anybody in a rational state of mind that wouldn't want this phone. By the way, I am not too concerned about myself. And I have the the service on my phone. Sometimes I drive and I see that there's a car accident on the other side of the road. I click Bond and I tell them, hey, there is an accident. Please help people take care of it. So even if we're not worried about ourselves, a person in his right mind or her right mind would want the service on their phone because we never know what's going to happen. Here is something very interesting that we haven't spoken about. And clearly, we're talking all the time about security, peace of mind, and the livelihood of people. But the good piece is, and this is very clear to the very large companies who are customers, is that this has positive ROI. Because if you start thinking about it, if any one of your employees is hurt, just like breaking a tooth, it doesn't matter if they break the tooth on the job or at home. Your insurance, or if you're a large enough company, your balance sheet is going to pay the medical costs. And the medical costs are compounded by legal costs if this person is, say, subject of workplace violence on the job. But let's assume that somebody, and forgive me, is raped in their personal life. This has significant cost in terms of medical,
Sure.
And then productivity loss because this person is not going to show up to work.
Yeah.
And then this person is likely to churn, which means that you're going to recruit somebody else and train somebody else. All of these are very significant dollars.
And the
Bond
preventative
reduces that risk significantly, which basically saves you money in terms of reduction of medical cost or insurance, in terms of reduction of churn, enhancement of engagement. So this is a very important part of the story, also relevant for universities.
Well, I think also the piece of this thing is I think that the take home here is preventative is causing profitability in terms of preventing possible disasters not only outside but how it affects the workplace. Doron, that's all we have time for today. Thank you, pal. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Doron Kempel is his name.
Founder, CEO, Arbond Incorporated. OBAI is the ticker symbol. Arbond.com is the website. Check him out. It is amazing stuff. All right, much more amazing stuff coming your way as well. Big Biz Show's back right after this.